The government set out the plans to reopen schools. It announced there would be a period of time between each phase to assess the impact of reopening on aspects of community transmission. The increase in the numbers waiting for speech and language therapy has been labelled shameful by a leading campaigner. Almost 45,000 children across Ireland are waiting for assessments and therapy. More than 14,000 of those are waiting for more than 12 months for services. Speaking on the hard shoulder here on News Talk, Interim CEO of Inclusion Ireland, Lorraine Dempsey, dismissed suggestions the worsening figures are due to COVID.
We're looking for a service that will be child-centred and meet children's needs. Look, I've been talking about this for about 10 years at this stage, and others long before me have started this, but it's just shameful at this stage to see that the lists are going longer rather than the other way around, and COVID is a minor part in that.
And the Minister for Finance, Paschal Donohoe, says he supports the decision taken by the NTMA to withdraw Davy's authority to act as a primary dealer in Irish government bonds. The board of the state agency says the decision was taken based on its assessment of the very serious findings relating to the firm by the central bank last week. That's all for now. More in an hour.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to the AA. For our most competitive discounts on car insurance, go online to the aa.ie.
Any rain will clear tonight and it'll be mainly dry. Lows of 4 to 6 degrees with mist and fog patches in places. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
Hello there, you're very welcome along. Joe Molloy with you this evening. So hang in there, Liverpool fans. Just 10 more league games to go until this nightmare is over. How many Champions League games may be the more interesting question right now. We'll talk to Mark Lawrence in this hour. Pat and Evan on the way after 9. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer developing a very handy habit of big results when things aren't going especially well, and yesterday more than qualifies. In the Pro 14 we have a Leinster-Munster showdown on March 27th. Meanwhile, this Sunday, Murrayfield beckons for Ireland. Keith Wood with us on Monday Night Rugby. We'll also hear from Ruth Bolton on the show this evening. She's on the latest Off the Bench podcast with Cliona Foley. Ruth is a two-time Olympic gold medalist with Team USA. She's also a two-time WNBA All-Star. We'll play that for you around 8:30 or so. 53106, the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter, of course. Richie McCormack, evening.
Evening, Joe.
Adrian Barry, hello to you.
Evening, Joe. Richie.
So a few bits and bobs going on. I mean, the Liverpool situation's out of control, Adrian. 6th consecutive defeat at Anfield. They're now at 8 defeats in their last 12 league games. Previously, to reach 8 defeats, it took them 121 league games, no less. 8 defeats at home. You have to go back to the 1951-52 season for a worse season, but there's plenty of time to beat that record. No goals in 8 of their last 12 games. I mean, the stats just keep coming. What I'm trying to say, Adrian, what I'm trying to get across here is it's not good.
It's hard to know what to say about Liverpool or United today. Like, it's impossible to... What conclusions do you draw? I mean, the only thing you'd say about United is they're so all over the place. You don't know what you're getting from one week to the next. At least with Liverpool, there's some level of consistency there in that they're just brutal. Like, seem totally short of confidence. We were talking about it on Friday's OTB AM that, you know, if Virgil van Dijk and all the other injured players were to come back tomorrow morning, it's still going to take some time to get them to get the mentality, as a former Republic of Ireland manager used to say, back on track. The enthusiasmos seems to have disappeared out of them, Joe. And I think, to be honest, and like Klopp sort of said as much after the game yesterday, that like it's almost a case for them, obviously in terms of trying to win football matches again, can they right the ship even a little bit before the season is out so that it doesn't leak into next season?
Yeah. A lot of interesting things, really. Klopp's demeanour is very eye-catching. It's not the getting angry at Des Kelly sense of fight that he had, you know, a couple of months ago. He's looking defeated and low on energy, and he's had a difficult time off the pitch as well. And, you know, you just presume the whole thing has been very taxing. I think Richie, he has so much credit in the bank that things would have to keep going wrong for a very, very, very long time before anybody would be asking serious questions about his position. The worry for Liverpool fans might be that Klopp, free-thinking type that he is, man of honour that he is, might reach the conclusion himself that, you know what, I'm not going to overstay my welcome here. Maybe I'm not best placed for whatever reason to sort this mess out, and might just walk away. You know, I don't think any Liverpool fan would want that. That's probably their biggest worry now this summer.
Yeah, that sense that the last year and everything that's brought with it, not in footballing terms, but in Klopp's especially, like he lost his mother, being away from home, not being able to attend the funeral, the fact that we're all living through a pandemic. I mean, that affects everybody in different ways, and people in football are no different as far as that's concerned. So he could have a recalibration moment and decide, yeah, listen, I want to take a year or two out, go back to Germany, and then see how the land lies 18 months down the line after the Euros, heading towards the World Cup with Germany. Who knows? But like, they'd have to lose every game 10-0 between now and the end of the season for Liverpool to pull the trigger. What they do need to do is get the ship righted enough that they can pull off a couple of results in the Champions League, build that confidence to such a degree that, you know, they might be faltering in the league, but they could bludgeon their way. And we've seen them do it before. 2005 is the case in point. You can see them bludgeoning their way towards the latter stages of the Champions League, and then who knows what. But the most important thing for them now is to get that pre-season that every manager has bemoaned, and Klopp most especially. They need to have a break, go away, do what they need to do for 6 weeks, and come back and get into pre-season and try and lock in that mentality again. Because everybody there, from the manager, his demeanour in post-match interviews, even trying to explain away what's happening, there's a kind of a resignation to what he's saying. It's almost as if, well, there's nothing more I can do. Like, clearly there is something you can do. You can, change your tactics. There were umpteen people in terms of former professionals and current pundits and all that pointing that out yesterday on Twitter. That there's enough you can do to try and alter your tactics. Don't be playing the same high line you would be if Virgil van Dijk was playing at the centre of your defence, because it's not going to work when you've got Nat Phillips and Reece Williams back there. It's little things like that. But I think if they do enough to get through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, if they do enough to see off Leipzig this week, I mean, that could be the changing of their season. It's a big ask. They do have a 2-0 lead to protect. But if they do get through to the quarterfinals, that might pick up the idea of, who knows, they might go on and win this thing for a second time in 3 years. But more than anything, they need a break. They need to bed in for pre-season, and they need some new faces in there next year too, because that current squad as is, even with the injuries, or even without the injuries, sorry, I should say, if you were to look at their bench week on week compared to Manchester City's, compared to even Manchester United's, which on occasion can be stronger, and there are others in there too, they're what they have in reserve isn't near good enough to maintain the level and the pace at which they're playing.
No, it's not. The likes of Trent on the bench, Thiago, Mane, suggests that targeting the Champions League is where his head is at now. Although in terms of a break, I mean, the Euros are on. Go play the Euros. And for the South American players, there have been a couple of cancelled games now in March which need to be made up, so I'm not sure how much of a break anybody gets. But I take the point. They do need to just get away from the place for a couple of weeks. We should kick off the news round. It is, as ever, here on Off the Ball on News Talk, with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. Seamus Coleman, again, absent from the Everton squad this evening. They're playing Chelsea tonight, Rich. Yeah,
this is becoming a bit of a worry. It's the third game in a row that the Republic of Ireland captain has missed. He was facing another late fitness test before today's game. Clearly, he hasn't passed the 6 o'clock start there at Stamford Bridge. So they're 6 minutes deep into the second half. It is Chelsea 1, Everton 0. Ben Godfrey's own goal on 31 minutes, the difference between the sides there. Chelsea looking to maintain their fantastic record under new manager Thomas Tuchel. Following last week's defeat to Manchester City, West Ham will look to get their Champions League push back on track tonight. David Moyes' side are at home to Leeds from 8 p.m. Before the season, Moyes claimed that a top 10 finish would be an achievement for the Hammers, and he's been asked if he's recalibrated his hopes given their current lofty position.
We're big outsiders for the Champions League because there's lots of teams there, but if you watch the racing at Cheltenham, quite often the big outsiders do well and come good. So I'm hoping that I'm one of those big outsiders and we can shock a few. But I don't think we're kidding MD on that we think that we're in a position to be in that place. But the resilience, the commitment, the determination the players have shown, nothing would surprise me with them. It really wouldn't. But I think at the start I said, if you'd given me top 10 anywhere, I'd have said thanks very much. It's an incredible season for West Ham. It would show that the progress had been made, and we don't want to lose the fact that making progress is something important. I mean, the position we're in at the moment is an incredible position to be in. I hope we can stay in it, and we'll do everything we can to maintain the role we're in.
21 points better off on where they were at this stage last season, David Moyes and West Ham. Quite extraordinary. On the Seamus Coleman thing, Adrian, I mean, it's becoming a really unlucky period for Stephen Kenny again on the injury front. James McCarthy suffered a reoccurrence of his groin injury at the weekend. Roy Hodgson said it was pie in the sky talk that he might be back to play for Ireland this month. You have the John Egan situation. He's out injured now for the next 2 months. The Shane Duffy form situation. Throw Coleman in on top of that. Matt Doherty did play for Spurs yesterday. I know this because he got the assist for the Harry Kane wonder goal. Take it while it's going, and it was a 5-yard pass, but it's an assist. In a spot of bright news, Dara O'Shea is now playing centre half for West Brom after being hauled off after 23 minutes early on by Sam Allardyce, and people thought, maybe Dara O'Shea is not his cup of tea. Sam Allardyce now really likes him and has him in at centre half. And Kieran Clark played as well yesterday. They played against each other. It was a 0-0 draw. So that's something I suspect Stephen Kenny was looking at very closely. But in broad terms, I was listening to John Duggan and David Myler, Dan McDonald, Johnny Ward talking about this on Saturday. Stephen Kenny's looking at, the definites for this crucial game against Serbia. And, geez, it's far from pretty at the moment.
I, like yourself, hadn't seen the Doherty assist initially, John. I went to seek it out and I thought, I wonder, like, hopefully, you're trying to hang on to some sort of chink of light. And he really, I don't know if they could not give him the assist for that, because it was all about the goal. It was an incredible goal. In fact, Roy Keane and listen, let's not ever let a NEWSROUND go past without uttering his name. Was doing the analysis of it later, and it said that it was such a bad pass that he'd expected Harry Kane to have taken a touch. Which was obviously his own way of having a little bit of a dig there. But yeah, look, it's tough times ahead, and also, like, you listen to a lot of the clubs now are talking about, like you're saying, about the players that are, let's say, injured or whatever, and the threadbare squad that he has. But like, a lot of the clubs now are talking about not letting players away at all. Yeah. Anyway, so what actually happens at the international window, regardless of our own parochial issues, and there are many of them, and they're mounting. It'll be just a very interesting place to look at, I think, over the next few months about international football and where the future of it is, because you would understand clubs saying, listen, we're paying your wages, and you can be damned if you think you're going to be taking a 2-week window after coming back from international duty. Yeah, true. Dermot says if Jurgen Klopp wasn't such a good egg, you'd swear he'd lost the dressing room with the way the team is playing. That's a good point, actually. If it was almost any other manager, you'd say, well, he's clearly lost the dressing room. It's just with Klopp, we presume that can't happen. Patrick O'Dowd, cool head Patrick here. It's time for Klopp to go. He hasn't built a good enough squad. He hasn't won enough in his time there. Oh, come on now.
Jesus Christ.
Stop. Okay, I'll stop that now.
I'm going to decline to finish, Patrick. Sorry.
Joe, can I just say on that? I was thinking it earlier on when Richie was making the point about it. Like, we here wouldn't have deigned even broach this as a conversation. So none of us are suggesting seriously that Jurgen Klopp is going to part ways with Liverpool, right? That's not a conversation for tonight. But we're now suddenly starting to talk about, will there come a time which suggests that that's the way the arc of the way these things work. Yeah. Another few losses under the belt. I disagree with Richie in terms of the 10-0s. I think, he isn't going to get fired no matter what happens this season. No. But I think he's certainly edging in that direction, the way things are going. Was it somebody texting earlier on to say that he might be the bigger man and sort of walk away?
I was saying that might be the worry for Liverpool fans almost. The Klopp, honourable, free-thinking man that he is, could say, I don't want to overstay. I don't want us to fall out, so I'm just going to tearfully wave goodbye. Like, in a not dissimilar way to the Dortmund thing, like all the fans in the crowd when he said goodbye to Dortmund, and there was a similar fall off with Mainz before that. There's kind of a slight track record here of great achievement followed by a decline that he wasn't able to hold. But you think of his goodbye game, and all the Dortmund fans are just in tears, waving goodbye to, like, it's like a breakup. It's like, it's not me, it's not you, it's just we're not right for each other anymore. It's like, I don't want to say goodbye either. I still love you. Like, you could imagine if the cop was full, in 6 months' time, and this thing continued to unravel, it'd be a similar kind of scene, actually. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to pass any judgment on it because you don't quite know what's going on. Like, that's an interesting point that somebody texted in saying if it was any other manager, you'd say he'd lost the dressing room.
And that for me is the other big concern between now and the end of the season. Like, you look at Salah on coming off with a half an hour to go on, was it Thursday night? Yeah. Not a happy camper. Like, trying to keep when we're talking about like trying to get them back in a positive, having a positive moment, Joe, before the end of the season, I think that in itself is a big factor, because like players are in poor form. You look at Robertson coming off the pitch the other night with a face like a smack backside on him, and that's the general look at the players now. Like, I mean, they're after getting beaten by one of the worst teams in the division. Morale is not high. They're going to be ratty with each other. Salah's going to be ratty with the manager because he's the one who's ultimately getting the curly finger, and like that's a huge task now as well, to keep them united on that front as well.
Yeah, no, it's true.
On that point, actually, on the squad point, I think there would be an acceptance on all parties, be it FSG and Klopp, that they didn't invest when they should have done in the summer. Like, it's that old adage, like every team builds continues to build when they're at their strongest. Like, you keep adding to your squad, and they didn't do that last summer. Now, no circumstance kind of precluded that from happening, with the pandemic and the prices that everybody was looking to deal with. But there should have been.
They did sneak in with Thiago and Jota, which certainly Jota was a big success. They were unfortunate he got injured, and Thiago's taking a lot of the blame at the moment. But like, you can't say he's a bad signing. But
look at the back. Like, there was a few Klopp press conferences when the injury started to mount up at centre back, where they said, well, we could have signed ex centre back during the summer, but he would have been playing third or fourth choice. Now, ultimately, when you look at them signing Kabak, who was looked at in the summer, on the last day of the January transfer window, that suggests that there's a bit of a disconnect between what the transfer committee as it is there at Anfield and what Klopp were saying. They're at odds. Not severely so, I wouldn't suggest, but there's definitely a problem there that would need to be addressed between them, getting the players that he wants when he wants them, as opposed to judging when the best value is, and getting players in at the back. Like, they knew Joel Matip was injury prone last summer. They knew that they only had 3 fit centre halves at the best of times going into this season. So didn't one of them, Richie?
Was it Matip or Gomez? One of them got injured because that was what they were saying at the press conferences. We're not going to buy anybody, and then lo and behold, shock and surprise to everybody, was either Gomez or Matip, who was just coming back, got injured again, and it was at that point they went, oh crap.
Yeah. Like, there should have been a fourth centre half brought in. The fact that they were looking to come back and brought him in then on the last day of the January transfer window suggests that there is an issue there at boardroom level, and they probably will have to invest heavily this summer. Whether they're able to is another story.
It sure is another story. We'll come to your news of another RFU contract in a second, but all this week we are giving away a €300 Aldi voucher to celebrate Mother's Day, which is on Sunday, everyone. It's on Sunday, no excuses. It's all with thanks to Aldi. Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
There you go. All with thanks to Aldi, who are making a donation to Bernardo's every time you buy one of their Mother's Day cards. They're hoping to raise 20 grand this year, which is great. Aldi have 145 stores nationwide with everything you need to say thanks to your mother. To be in with a chance of winning the €300 voucher, just tell us which Judy has 2 sons who've won 10 tennis Grand Slams between them across singles and doubles. So I'm sure you all know that. Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents, and we'll contact the winner after the show. All with thanks to Aldi. Treat your mum to something special this Mother's Day. So Keith Earls, one more year.
Yeah, he signed a new 1-year contract, a central contract with the IRFU. The 33-year-old is going to remain at Munster until at least the end of next season. Earls is Ireland's 2nd top try scorer of all time, and he's the 4th player over 30 in the last week to gain a new central contract. Earls is joined in the Ireland squad this week by Jacob Stockdale, having missed the first 3 matches of this season's Six Nations through injury. The Ulster back is included for Sunday's game away to Scotland. He replaces Munster's Shane Daly. Meanwhile, Josh van der Fleer must complete the return to play protocols this week. Scotland, for their part, have handed a first senior call-up to the American-born Rufus McLean, who's included in their 34-man squad, absolutely, for Sunday's game with Ireland. Exeter's Sam Skinner and Edinburgh's Nick Haining have also been recalled by head coach Gregor Townsend. Xander Fagerson and Adam Hastings are both absent for the game at Murrayfield due to suspension. Richie Gray misses out with a head injury.
Keith Wood on the way just after 8 o'clock, looking back on the Pro 14 action as well. So this Ireland-Qatar business, they've reached some kind of compromise.
Yeah, the Republic of Ireland squad facing 2 away trips inside a week later this month. I'm sure that'll go well. It's been decided to swap their home and away friendly matches with Qatar. The 2022 World Cup hosts were placed in Ireland's qualifying group for friendlies with each of the sides involved. The Gulf state will be based in the Hungarian city of Debrecen, meaning Stephen Kenny's side must travel there for a match on March 30th. Ireland's campaign opens away to Serbia on March 24th before Luxembourg visit Dublin 3 days later.
There's a lot of moments, Adrian, where if you got a glimpse of them many years ago into the future without explanation, you'd wonder what the hell is going on. I think Ireland playing Qatar in Hungary kind of counts too, in front of no fans. What's happening here?
I mean, what's going on in the background? It makes no sense. What's the logic?
I guess they both want to avoid that longer trek. So they said, OK, instead of a mammoth journey to Qatar, we'll go to Hungary and then we'll go to Hungary again. And instead of forcing you to come all the way to Dublin, I guess that's the thinking.
Call it off. I mean,
yeah, sorry.
You know, like, I mean, no fans at it. Yeah. I mean, look at. It'll be a box.
He surrendered the leader's yellow jersey after today's second stage of the Paris-Nice. He placed 5th in today's sprint finish. But lack of bonus points for the Waterford riders saw the race go to Michael Matthews. The race lead, that is, go to Michael Matthews. C. Spall won today's stage. Bennett is 4 seconds adrift of Matthews going into tomorrow's 14-kilometre individual time trial. And Bennett said he left it too late today to pick up a back-to-back win.
I was waiting, and I think we thought it was further after the last corner. But I just stayed too relaxed coming into the last corner. I should have moved up a lot more, and then I thought Michael was going to open it up, but I think he had to use so much energy to come back that he was already used up all his energy for one day, and then I waited too long to go. It was my own mistake, but the team were fantastic again.
Rich, hopefully some good news on Leinster and Doris.
Yeah, Leinster optimistic that Doris could feature in this season's Pro 14 final. The number 8 has been out of action since his withdrawal from the Ireland squad ahead of their opening Six Nations game. Doris saw a neurologist in Birmingham, having complained of concussive symptoms prior to the game with Wales. And speaking today, Leinster coach, Stuart Lancaster has been giving an update on his fitness.
Yeah, so he's doing like a progressive return to contact. So he's been doing like non-contact training in and out of sessions just to build up confidence, I guess. So yeah, he's on the road to recovery, and I think we're hopeful that he'll get back playing again soon.
When you say soon, do you have a date penciled in? Would you see him featuring the next month, or would it be beyond that?
No, within the next month, yeah.
That's good. Such a young man. Whenever you hear struggles like he's been having, you get worried. So it's good to see he's been given the all clear. Adrian Barry, I mean, there are many reasons. Like you're an unusual character, I would say. One of them being you're a big fan of the Pro 14. You're one of these people who says, "Oh no, I like the Pro 14 is a great bit of stuff." So the final, I mean, last year it was Leinster-Ulster, Leinster's 3rd win in a row, and it was a bit of a damp squib. Rested some frontline players even for the final. And now March 27th, which unfortunately for the organisers is a week after Six Nations concludes. So a week after the England game and a week before Heineken Champions Cup knockout stages. So yet again, and I do have sympathy for the organisers, you'll have Leinster-Munster, but I don't think there's any way in hell that the Irish frontline players can play 4 weeks on the bench. So it's going to be a final with frontliners missing.
Yeah, it's not what you want, clearly, from the final statement. It's bleeding obvious, but it's funny because, like, even looking at the Interpros over the weekend, where so many of the internationals weren't there, there's so many interesting storylines. Like, it's not what you would want from the final is the problem. Like, if it was the semi-final, you'd make your peace. You just need to have your big guns there for that. And so that'll be slightly disappointing, but it'll be even Stephen in terms of they'll both be missing frontline players. So at least from a competitive point of view, it'll be even on that front. But I know we were having you were watching Messi over on whatever it was, Sky the weekend, while I was looking at Dennis Irwin over on the other channel, and happily doing that, Joe. Yeah.
For people going, what are you talking about? When he says Messi, he means Jordan Spieth. And when he says Dennis Irwin, he means Ross Byrne. Don't ask. It made sense at the time. Somebody texts in to say, will you guys be slating Bryson's sledgehammer drive as besmirching the great game of golf, or treating it like the quality blast of entertainment it was from Pat, says Pat. Listen, it was quality all the way, Pat. Last night was awesome. It was awesome. It was just so good. And you know what? And Lee Westwood made the point afterwards. Here's 47-year-old Lee Westwood, not a huge hitter. And he's able to compete with DeChambeau. And I think 5 of the world's top 10 are they're more iron players than drivers. I think maybe like the ills of golf have been a little overplayed in terms of the distances ruining it. But as for Bryson, did you watch this? No?
Yeah.
Listen, that was great stuff. Him and Westwood basically match play for about 3 hours. It was great.
It was disappointing that Westwood didn't. There was a couple that had slipped past him that he didn't get it back to over the last 3 or 4 holes, get it back to both on 11 under par or something like that. I know he squeezed him on the final hole, and geez, he had chicken on the bone, Joe, on the 18th. There was a lot of chicken on that bone.
Golf commentators have to stop saying there's a bit of chicken left on that bone.
Oh, it's my favourite golf expression of all time. They never stop saying it. It's brilliant. It's outstanding. That natty red cardigan at the end as well. I mean, that's something to forget about. The $7.5 million or whatever it was he would have won for.
Natty. That's an Arnold Palmer cardigan, which Bryson pointed out was extra large, and it still barely fit me.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other day. Was it the conditions, Joe? Was that because he was saying that he looked at the weather forecast for the Sunday, Westwood, and thought, it might be a bit tricky and that might suit me. Is that what levelled it a bit, or
possibly,
or can a Westwood compete with a DeChambeau over a course like that?
No, I think he can. Even conditions good or bad on a course like that, he definitely can. He definitely can, and. I just think he meant the windier conditions suited, Westwood from miserable. Is it Sheffield? I think it's from Sheffield, as opposed to Californian Bryson. So I think that was his thinking. Oh, it is Nottingham. He's got a Nottingham Forest little yardage book, actually. Westwood.
I presume you were willing him on, Joe, were you?
Yeah. But I mean, like, either way, the whole thing, I was like, Golf Weekly can't lose here.
No.
Was the
Bryson DeChambeau is 27, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
I had to check that last night when it was said, like, what? I mean, I know, look, professional sports people, and they get a lot of crap, and as he has done over the last few months, but, geez, we have to remember he's 27.
You thought he was older or younger?
Young man.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No, listen, he's turned himself around. It's unbelievable. So, Rich, I have time for one last story.
Yeah, police in Scotland made 28 arrests and issued 7 fixed penalty fines as thousands of Rangers fans celebrated winning the Scottish Premiership title yesterday. Large numbers of supporters broke coronavirus regulations by gathering outside of Ibrox and in Glasgow's St George's Square as well. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon tweeted that the crowds were infuriating and disgraceful and could delay the end of lockdown. 2-0 Chelsea, by the way, a Jorginho penalty has doubled the lead of Thomas Tuchel's side at home to Everton, and they also had a goal disallowed in between for handball by VAR by Kai Havertz. But Chelsea 2, Everton 0 is the latest score with 21 minutes to play at the Bridge.
Okay, very good. Richie, thank you.
Cheers.
Adrian Barry, cheers.
Thanks, lad.
Mark Lawrenson next.
And I can tell you